Hello everybody, this is my internal and external communication presentation for Rock Hills School District 107. My very first chart that I have created here is I am showing you that we have administration, which is like who communicates with everybody, and everybody should communicate with them. And that's going to be our superintendent and then both of our building principals, principal at the elementary and the principal at the junior senior high. So like I said, administration communicates with everybody, and then everybody should be communicating with the administration as well. Let's start over here with the left. I created a green box around faculty, students, parents, and staff. And that green box represents the internal communication. The box on my right, that's yellow, that hosts community members and partners. Those are your external publics, okay? So I have my faculty who's communicated with by administration, but faculty is also responsible for communicating to teachers and students on a daily basis, as well as having those conversations with community members and other stakeholders in our district. Next, I have staff. Staff is supposed to communicate with administration from administration. They also communicate with students, parents, community members, and partners. They are responsible for communicating with faculty and other teachers as well as the stakeholders within our district. Parents can receive communication from administration, and they are to communicate with administration as needed, but on a daily basis, they really communicate with their students and then with the teachers as well as other faculty. They are also communicate with the community members, partners, and other stakeholders, because sometimes those communication guidelines are like the most valuable, like how parents view the community being involved and how the community wants to see how parents feel their involvement is. Then we have students. Students receive communication from administration and they communicate with administration, but they also communicate with the teachers and faculty, as well as their parents, community members, partners, and other stakeholders within our district. Community members. A lot of times they receive their communication from the administration, as well as teachers, faculty, parents, and students. And then they would also communicate with the district partners and other stakeholders depending on what's trying to be achieved. Because a lot of times your community members and partners might be some of the same people involved on those things. And then last, I have partners. They get communication to and from administration, as well as staff, faculty, parents, and students, and then they're going to communicate with community members and stakeholders. So I indicated with red arrows those that benefit and pretty much prefer two-way communication, and that would be staff to parents. And then we don't think about it, but every day we're engaging in two-way communication with staff to students. The next graphic I created talks about the types of communication that each one is really responsible for or uses the most, or is how they receive information about our district. So administration, which is superintendent and building principals, their communication is all over. It could be face-to-face, it could be via email, the district website, maybe they post videos talking about what's going on. They could post information on Facebook, they could send out surveys, and then they attend various meetings throughout the district, whether it's, meetings that are specifically led by USD 107 or meetings that we're trying to be a part of as a school. The faculty, a lot of times their communication is email, face-to-face meetings, and then a lot of times the way that we communicate with them would be oral and written communication. A lot of times that's just to inform them of policies or changes or things going on within our district. Staff, email, face-to-face meetings, Facebook, district website, because they're required to, post updates on our district website, and then sharing Facebook posts to get a little bit more parent involvement or quickly make parents aware of things that are going on. They also go to meetings and school functions, and the communication types would be oral, written, and digital. Parents, same thing, email, face-to-face, meetings, Facebook, district website, meetings, attending school functions, and then that information comes oral, written, and digital. Students get a lot of it too, email, face-to-face, meetings, Facebook, district website, school functions that they attend, because they're in all of our school functions for the most part, and then they receive that communication oral, written, and digital. Then we have community members. and a lot of times their communication is face-to-face, meetings, district website, Facebook, and then attending functions. Not necessarily school functions, but attending functions where maybe school members might be at or stakeholders might be at. And then that communication can be written, digital, or oral. And then we have our partners. And the same goes for them, face-to-face, meetings, district website, Facebook. Again, could be school functions, could just be community functions where lots of people are at, where their paths intertwine because they're parts of the school, or they are part of the community members, or maybe they're part of our board. And then that comes at us through written, digital, and oral. So when we talked about two-way communication on the previous chart, I did not include what that might look like. And lots of times it looks like parent-teacher conferences, site council, our PTA, which is our Grizzly Pride meetings, phone calls, school events that have that parent engagement piece. And then the last chart that I created talks about who is kind of responsible for what certain aspects. We have supporting school improvement, engaging families, diverse community members, and school personnel to strengthen student learning, advocating for the needs of their school and community, and then current and future success and well-being of each student. I listed all 4 of those below administration because I do believe that they hold a key part in all 4 of those areas. Not only starting conversations, but finding ways to talk about those issues and make other people aware and get other people on board for those different areas that we want to see some improvements in. And then I listed the top 2 that I think each section or each person falls under. So I believe that faculty, staff, and parents all have this same 3 that they are, all 3 of them have the same top 2, which would be the current and future success and well-being of each student and adult, as well as engaging those families, diverse communicating community members, and school personnel to strengthen student learning. So to me, faculty, staff, and parents have the same top 2 areas that they really fit in. Then we have the students. Students, I think, definitely have a say and are great at representing the current and future success and well-being of each student and adult, but I also think that they're some of our most valuable people to be advocating for the needs of their school and community. Then we move on to community members and partners, and I think that they share the same top 2 as well. They are part of the current and future success and well-being of each student and adult, as well as supporting school improvement. Thank you for your time.